I'm joined by Kyle Balgames. Welcome, Kyle.
How are you?
Raja Suleiman with Orzov.
Max McVitie.
Congratulations, Brian DeMars. Zach Allen.
I wouldn't be here without these guys, though. So.
And the champion of Pro Tour counter-attack here, Prerelease.
Welcome to Making Magic Happen, brought to you by RW Hobbies and Games, Livonia, Michigan. I'm Zach, and today we're building a pre-release kit. So, it's pre-release. We're doing Zendikar Rising. There is pre-release at home currently. We can't actually do one in store because of COVID, obviously. But I figured with pre-release at home, maybe you're going to take some home, build it, play with your friends. I figured I'd give some pointers to the people who want a little help, want a little advice on how to build this. What's the right way to approach it? And I've played a lot of pre-releases, so I also played a lot of sealed events. So I'll throw that out there. So I have a pretty good idea of what I'm doing here. So I just want to give people an idea of what you can expect and how you should probably go about approaching this. So let's start by cracking it, see what we got in here. It's a sweet little kit. Nice little kit for sure. Ooh, looks like you get a little die too. Nice little shiny die. Looks kind of glittery, I guess. Ooh, that's kind of sweet. Alright. This stuff. Cool. Our promo is an Archon of Ameria. It's nice. Let's crack our packs here. So the way I do this, we might play this Archon of Ameria. We'll open it up. See what we can get in here. Maybe we won't. Guess we'll save it for later. Nope, we got it. Alright, we got another one. So I like to separate by colors when I start. So I'm going to open these booster packs and separate out by colors so we can get an idea of what our colors look like. Alright, Expedition Healer. I separate the rares too. Tormenting Voice, Shell Shield, Oblivion's Hunger, Tajuru Blightblade, a Spare Supplies, Guldra's Mucklord, Marasa Brute, Nimana Sky Dancer, Cunning Geyser Mage. We have a Paired Tactician, a land which is a Base Camp, another land which is a Blackborn Rogue, and a rare which is a Felidar Retreat. And this one is an absolute bomb, so we're going to keep that separated with our Archon here. Felidar Retreat is probably one of the best cards in this set. Absolutely going to keep them. We got these extra tokens and flip card things up top here. So now we're looking to play white. We'd like to play white given any option. See what we got. Tazim Royal Mage is pretty sweet. A Farsight Adept, Kazandu Stomper, Subtle Strike, Vanquish the Weak, Risen Riptide, Sizzling Barrage, Dauntless Unity, Highborn Vampire, Tajuru Snarecaster, a Thundering Spark Mage, another Paired Tactician, ooh, a McKindy Stampede. That's a pretty nice one too. It's a white land that's an overrun on one side or a tap land on the other side. These flip lands we're going to want to play, so I'm going to separate them out. We're not necessarily going to play them, but you would like to put as many of these in your deck as you can, given that you can cast them. And then our rare here is Morag, Fury of Akum. This is a 6 mana 6/6. Says each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it has attacked this turn. And then it has Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. This is also a straight-up bomb. So our rares are telling us we would like to play white-red at the moment. We'll see where the rest of the packs take us. You can't just play with the rares. You need good commons to support, but we've got a good start on white and red from our rares, so it's a good place to go. We got a Tazim Raptor, an Ardent Electromancer, a Negate, a Might of Marasa, Drana's Silencer, a Skyclave Sentinel, another Vanquish the Weak, a Risen Riptide, Sizzling Barrage, Dauntless Unity, another base camp. We are high on base camps. Concerted Defense, a Kazul's Fury, and a Cherix of the Raging Isle. Cherix is good. I would not say it's a bomb like the other cards are bombs, but it's a fine card. If I was playing blue, if we go blue, I would definitely put it in my deck. But I'm not going to say it's a huge blue. It's just a very good blue card. Alright, we got a Mesa Lynx from this one. Teeter Peak Ambusher, Zulaport Duelist, Resolute Strike, Dauntless Survivor, Expedition Skulker, Cliffhaven Kitesail, Spitfire Lagak, Skyclave Squid, a Bloodchief's Thirst, a Shatterskull Minotaur, which is another, not a flip land, but another very powerful card, a Kabira Takedown, which is a flip land and just a good removal spell, so that's great. Kazul the Royal Chaser, so that's a gold rare. Set this down here. I guess I can maybe put it over here. Sure. Not very many gold cards, but we have that. And a Dreadworm, which is fine, but nothing crazy. 2 packs left. Got a Cliffhaven Sellsword, Scavenger Blade. We'll put that with the red, even though it's an artifact. Field Research, Kazandu Stomper, Ghastly Gloom Hunter, Draga Visionary, Rabid Bite, a Pressure Point, Grotag Bug Catcher, a Core Blade Master, Taunting Arbor Mage, a Relic Golem, a Kazandu Mammoth. That's a flip land that's also a rare. That's very powerful. Another Kazul's Fury, and this one's foil. That's pretty nice. All right, last pack here. Let's get something crazy. Zulaport Duelist, Resolute Strike, Sneaking Guide, Kazandu Nectar Pot, Subtle Strike, Might of Marasa, another Spitfire Lagak, Skyclave Squid, a Rabid Bite, a Canyon Jerboa, which also looks really awesome with this alternate background, but very, very, very powerful card too. Landfall, whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. This really pays you off for playing a lot of creatures, which is something White wants to do anyway. We've got an Iridescent Horn Beetle, a Songmad Treachery, a Swarm Shambler, which is a green rare, and a Tajuru Snarecaster and foil. So these basics look really good. Not interesting for building a school. So the first thing I'm going to note is this is Mirag, Fury of Akum, and Felidar Retreat are the 2 best cards we opened by far. Mirag is very powerful. The other color with the most rares is green. Given how many premium cards we got, and we got 2 flip white uncommon lands, the flip lands, just very powerful cards. We have a removal spell and an overrun. I think we want to play white, but we got to make sure separate out colors. I think it's pretty unlikely we play blue, but let's keep looking. Blue is one of the better colors in this format, though. We got 2 lands that can cast any Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, or Wizard spells, so that's something we should consider. We could play like a green deck splashing a bunch of party members. Definitely a place to go. Relic Golem is fine. Cliffhaven Kitesail is very strong. 1 mana, equipment, enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature has flying and 2 to equip, so just giving a creature flying is very good. Skyclave Sentinels I don't really like. And Spare Supplies, just basically 4 mana to draw 2 cards. It's fine, but nothing exciting. We'll set this over here. No, over here, actually, so we can keep those in mind. Let's look at the white. At these 4 white cards that are all just excellent. We can put this at 5, this at 3, this at 2, and these are lands. So these are cards we would like to cast as spells. We'll treat them as spells, but you can, like, just the fact that they are lands lets you just, you know, put them in your deck free of cost. You almost never, you're almost never going to get mana screwed because you just are playing a lot of extra lands, which is awesome because in sealed you really want to be able to cast your stuff. And Most of the time you'll cast as a spell. We could even get away with playing like 3 flip lands and 16 lands and get to play like a 19 land deck. I think that's very powerful. Canyon Jerboa is great. We're definitely going to play that in any white deck. Resolute Strike is a fine combat trick, +2/+2. It lets you attach a warrior. If you cast it on a warrior, you can attach equipment to it. That's a good one, but we didn't get any particularly good equipment. We got 1 red equipment that's fine. We got the Kite Sail, which gives a guy flying, which is also fine. Alright, we got a 2-mana 1/1 with double strike. And it says equipped warriors you control have double strike. So that's a good pull on the white-red, because white-red is the warrior colors. Pressure Point is fine. Nothing I'm excited about. I would play a 2-mana 3/1. Another Resolute Strike, okay. Mace Lynx is basically a 2-mana 2/1, but as long as it's not your turn, it's a 2-mana 2/3, so it's a really good blocker. It's a good defensive card. Dauntless Unity says creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. If this spell was kicked, those creatures get +2/+1 until end of turn. So this is another overrun effect. Fine combat trick. It's one I'll consider. I'll put it up here with Pressure Point, though. You don't want too much of that effect. Alright, Tazim Raptor, 3-mana 2/2 flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. And that's excellent. That card is very strong. It lets you play your McKindy Stampede early as a tap land. Use it to cast some spells. Then later I can play my Tazim Raptor, pick up my Stampede, and now I have another spell in my hand, which is just very strong. So that's actually a pull into white, in my opinion. Paired Tactician, 3-mana 3/2. When Paired Tactician, at least one other warrior attack, put a +1/+1 counter on it. I think that's a pretty strong card if we're trying to go wide. Another Dauntless Unity here. Fine. Nothing special. Farsight Adept is a 3-mana 3/3. Says when it enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each draw a card. That's not one I'm super interested in, but it is one I'll play. It's got Wizard, which is a weird type in white, so it could help us get party stuff online. Got another Paired Tactician, which is, a fine card, one I'll play. And then an Expedition Healer, which is a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance. It says Expedition Healer has lifelink as long as you control another cleric. So one pays you off for having other clerics. So white looks very good. Tricks. We don't have any removal spells though. I guess we have 1 Kabira takedown. We don't really have removal spells, but we have got bombs and it wants to pay us off for going wide. So if another color has some good removal and helps us go wide, there would be an excellent place to pair with it. Let's set it aside for a second though. So 1 point unsealed. We want to play white because it had a lot of very powerful cards, a lot of very powerful planes, which are great in this set, and it had some of our rares. It also has our best card in Felidar Retreat. So we looked at white, and we're looking at what white wants to do, because in sealed, the most important thing to do is play your bombs. You want to play all your best cards, if you can, and then you also want to be able to stop your opponent's best cards. So basically, you want to play bombs and removal. This deck is light on removal. White is. It's something to pair with it, but it has our bombs, specifically Felidar Retreat, which is our best card. If we get with it, our thought was had a card in Morag, Fury of Akum. This card is just absolutely excellent. It's one we should try to play if we can. We got 3 more flip lands. These ones are good. They're not spectacular, but they are good. Let's look at the rest of the curve, though, that red is going to offer here. We got this guy at 6. Spitfire Lagak, 3-mana or 4-mana 3/4. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. That would be good in a red deck. It helps us go wide, or a white-red deck. It helps us go wide, but also can damage the opponent, get through some of those last points of burn. Sneaking Guide, 1-mana 1/1. It's a rogue, which is a type white doesn't have very many of. White is mostly clerics and warriors, although I did have a wizard in there. So rogue helps us with our party mechanic because we want a rogue, a wizard, a cleric, and rogue, wizard, cleric, and warrior. So that one's good. Also, it kind of gives you direct damage. It's a 1-drop, which helps you fill out your curve, helps you go wide, but then late game I can tap it and make a creature with power 2 or less unblockable, which is very good. Grotag Bugcatcher, Goblin Warrior, really pays you off for the party mechanic. I also have Scavenge Blades. So we had some of the red card or the white cards that wanted us to have equipment, right? Because it gives other warriors double strike, which is really powerful, and that's one of the better equipment we have in our deck. So Another reason to play white-red is that we get a good equipment. Shadow Skull Minotaur is excellent. It's a 6-mana 5/4 haste, but it costs 1 less for each creature in your party. So if I can get some of the types I'm missing here, it's going to be very, very strong. So that's another pull into red. Another Spitfire Lagak, just fine, nothing crazy. Teeter Peak Ambusher, 2-mana 1/3 warrior, but that's fine. Alright, Sizzling Barrage is kind of a removal spell. It's 2 mana, instant, deals 4 damage to target creature that blocked this turn. That's not as good as you would like. So, creatures, for this to work, I have to attack. They already get to block, and then I have to deal 4 damage to the thing. So it does kind of work, but you have to trick your opponent into blocking for it to work, and then once they block and you use it, you don't get to force through the damage anymore. But it does work very well with trample creatures, but white-red doesn't have trample. So it's kind of a problem. And we have 2 of these, and then a Tormenting Voice, which helps us find stuff, but isn't particularly good. And then we have an Ardent Electromancer, which is fine. It's a fine card. Gives red mana for each creature type in your party, and is a wizard, so a relevant party type. But unfortunately not removal. And then we have Thundering Spark Mage, which is a 4-mana 2/2. It says when Thundering Spark Mage enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of creatures in your party. So this is a good card, very strong card, and we can enable it with our party mechanics, which I think is very good. But this is the only real removal spell red has. So red has some very, very powerful bombs. It's got an equipment we want to play, but still no removal. And we said we wanted removal with white, so we're going to keep looking. We're going to see if maybe black can pair better, maybe green. Let's look at the other colors here. I'm pretty low on blue. Blue didn't have any cards that really pull me into the color. As Into the Royal Air, I think it's called, which are both fine cards. I don't even have like an Essence Scatter effect in here to stop some of the opponent's bombs, so blues be out with no real big bombs to play and no removal. It's not something I'm super interested in this I guess you'd say. So Blackborn Rogue's a good one. Subtle Combat Trick. Ghastly Gloom Hunter, 2-mana 1 lifelink. It has kicker of 3 and a black, so I can pay. I do. It enters the battlefield with on it, so it can be a 6-mana 3/3 flying lifelink or a 2-mana 1/1 flying lifelink, which are both fine deals. Crazy, but fine deals. Keep in mind, Blackborn Rogue is also a land on the back, and we said we like those quite a bit, but you know, just a 3-mana 2/3 menace is great, and once the opponent puts cards in their graveyard, it becomes a 3-mana 5/3 rogue, which is just very powerful with menace too, especially. Dreadworm premium removal. It's 1 mana to kill a creature with 2 or less, or I can kick it. So for 2 black, I can just destroy any creature or planeswalker. That's absolutely premium. That's the type of card you really want. Rogue, which white doesn't really have rogues, but black has more rogues. Might have one. So we premium removal says destroy target creature with power 3 or less. That's just premium in my opinion. Drana Silencer, 6-mana 3/2. When Drana Silencer enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures in your party. That's just great removal. It does cost 6, which is a little expensive, but that's fine. You want to give yourself some time to build up your party, and then you can play this at the top end, kill their guy, attack, which is great. Highborn Vampire, 4-mana 4/3. It is a warrior, but nothing spectacular here. Just fine. Put this up here. Another Vanquish of the Week. Again, premium removal. Subtle Strike is another just excellent combat trick. We have Nimana Skydancer, 3-mana 2/1 flash flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent mills 2 cards. That's not spectacular, but it's a fine card. I'll play Human Rogue with that on it. Ghoul Draws Mucklord, 3-mana 2/3. When Ghoul Draws Mucklord dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So that's a fine card, one you'd put in your deck, but nothing. Mana instance, this target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. Draw a card if that creature has a +1/+1 counter on it. So really synergies to run this, which we may or may not have. Good. which is premium removal, 2 Vanquish the Weaks, which is more great removal. It doesn't have any bombs, unfortunately. So let's see if green is offering anything more. I think black looks good. I would be happy to play black, but it's not spectacular. It's not like, you know, it's got some good removal. It does kind of pair well with our offering. I'm looking at a rare. Excellent. It's a 3-mana 3/3 with landfall. Gets +2/+2 until end of turn, so it's often going to play like a 3-mana 5/5, which is just very good. And Swarm is a 1 0/0. Enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counter, so it's essentially 1 mana 1/1. Insect token, which is pretty good. Pay 1 and tap it +1. This is going to keep growing over time, which is actually really good in sealed because it's just going to start getting. Sealed games are kind of slower. It's going to start getting out of control, but it doesn't pair great with white because white wants to be aggressive, and this isn't a very aggressive card. It's more of like a slow value-y card. Tajiru Snarecaster, 3 mana 1/4 with reach. Fine, nothing crazy. Iridescent Horn Beetle. It's a 5 mana 3/4. Says at the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 green insect creature token with. For each +1/+1 counter you've put on your creatures under your control this turn. So if we have ways to put +1/+1 counters on our creatures, this is excellent. I don't know if we do. Which is actually kind of premium removal. It says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control, which is excellent. It lets you kill big creatures by using one of your creatures. You do need big creatures to pair with it, but green generally has that. So for this, all intents and purposes, we can count this as premium removal. Might of Marasa, 2 mana instant. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. If it was kicked, it gets +5/+5. That's fine. I'd be happy to play 1, but it's not crazy. It's not a draw into green. It's just fine. I'll set it here, but I'm not super excited to play it. Kazandu Nectar Pot, 2 mana 1/3 insect. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you gain a life. Again, fine. Nothing crazy. Taunting Arbor Mage is good, though. 3 mana 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, all creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. So you can, if they're setting up to block, you can kick it, target your worst creature, make all their creatures block your worst creature, and the rest of your creatures can block or just attack through and kill them. So this is almost like a premium removal spell. It's not quite there, but it's close. I've got another Rabid Bite, though, which is actually premium removal. That's great. We've got Draga Visionary, 4 mana 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. That's great. Kazandu Stomper, 6 mana 6/5 trample. When it enters the battlefield, return up to 2 lands you control to their owner's hand. So similar to that white card, it lets us re-trigger landfall, which is great, and pick up our spell lands that we played earlier, which is also great. So this is just another premium card. I'll be happy to play this. Dauntless Survivor, 2 mana 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Fine. It's basically a 2 mana 2/2. Nothing special, but fine. Play it. Another Might of Marasa, just a combat trick. Nothing crazy, but fine. We've got Tajiru Snarecaster, 3 mana 1/4 reach. Again, not super excited to play it, but I will. Another Kazandu Stomper, again, 6 mana 6/5 trample. Lets you return lands to your hand. Notably, you don't have to. It's not making me return the lands, which is important. If it made you return the lands, I don't think it'd be very good. The fact that I get the option is awesome because if I need to re-trigger landfall, I can. I can pick up my spell lands I played early. But also it's just a big body, which this format is generally pretty small, so you're going to find big bodies in this format are very, very good. So this is actually a pull into green, in my opinion. Marasa Brute, 3 mana 3/3. Fine. You put it in your deck, fill out the curve, nothing spectacular. And then Tajiru Blightblade, 1 mana 1/1 Death Touch. Fine, nothing crazy, but fine. It works very well with Rapid Bite, though, because I deal damage equal to its power. If this is in play and I Rapid Bite, I can kill any creature on their side as long as it's not indestructible. So you're going to notice here that green did something very well. So I have ways to trigger landfall with Kazandu Stomper and like continue to trigger landfall. Our best card in this entire pool is Felidar Retreat, which is a landfall card. It wants me to be triggering landfall. And I have a bunch of lands I want to, or like flip lands I want to play and pair with. And another Kazandu Mammoth is another very, very powerful rare that is another landfall card. So to me, it feels like white and green is going to be the best deck here. Let's look at how our curve looks once we start building it out, though. These guys here, Canyon Jerboa is great. Another flyer. Got some cheap guys. Another premium, not premium removal, but a good removal spell. Dauntless Unity is another combat trick. It's fine. Pressure Point's fine. These are just kind of all our combat tricks. Got a lot of 3-drops. You're going to find your curve kind of clusters at 3, and that's fine. That's fine. So we don't have a lot of ways to put +1/+1 counters on things. So the Iridescent Horn Beetle isn't great, but again, it's a 5-mana 3/4, which is fine. And I do have Swarm Shambler, which pairs well with it. These 3 are definitely going in the deck. I do want this to be a 16-land deck because I do have 3 spell lands, and I don't have to feel bad about playing them early. I don't have to save my Kazandu Mammoth because I have a bunch of ways to pick up lands. I have Kazandu Stomper, 2 of them, and a Tazim Raptor, and both of them allow me to pick up lands and then replay them later. So I think those ones are pretty easy to go to a 16-land deck. I don't really have fixing for this deck, so I'm just going to go 8 and 8. And then I'll play the 3 spell lands I have here in Kabira Takedown, Makindi Stampede, and Kazandu Mammoth as lands, but also spells, and be happy to pick them up with Kazandu Stomper and Tazim Raptor. This deck wants to be aggressive. White-green wants to be a very aggressive deck. Play the more aggressive creatures. So 2-mana 2-power creatures are great. 2-mana 1-power creatures aren't very good, and on that note, the Snarecaster is a 3-mana 1/4, which is a very defensive creature. It's not something I'm super interested in. So these are cards I'll happily sideboard, interested in playing. And it's nice because we have a lot of 3-drops already, so we don't really have to worry about that too much. So we need 24 cards because we're going to play a 40-card deck, and we're going to have 16 lands with 3 spell lands, so between 16 and 19. And we've got 1, 2 here. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So we're going to have to cut one more card. I think the worst card in this deck... Our curve is pretty good. It's nice and concentrated lower, which you want for an aggressive deck, although this deck isn't crazy aggressive. It's just like more of a good curve out deck, but you still want your curve to kind of look like this. You want it to be a little lower to the ground, concentrated in the 2 and 3 area, and have a few bigger cards you want to cast, which this deck does pretty well. I would like... Oh, also, your bow is another insane landfall card. It just keeps giving my entire team +1/+1. So the fact that this is really good at triggering landfall bodes really well for this deck, I think. And I think what we're going to do is just curve out and then just start antheming our team. This gives all our team +1/+1. This gives all our team +1/+1. This gives them +2/+2. A lot of good ways to do that. I could cut the 1/1, but I like it on the curve. I think we just need to cut one card. And... probably should be a 3 drop, really just looking at how expensive the curve is. Yeah, I think Farsight Adept's probably the worst card. It is a wizard, which is good, but letting your opponent draw a card is not very good. So I think I'm probably going to cut the Farsight Adept. It's a fine card, but nothing special. We get our card through picking up lands and landfall triggers. Drawing the card is fine, but we're going to let Kazandu Stomper and Tazim Raptor give us the card advantage here and be more of a curve-out deck that uses our really powerful landfall abilities to win the game and kind of win with damage. So less interested in that, but I think this is a great deck. I would be happy to play with this. I think I'd have a good shot at winning some games. Next important thing to do is build a board. You know, there's some side work here. We could put a Cliffhaven Kitesail in there, give one of our guys flying. That'd be pretty good. Spare supplies if we play a grindy matchup. Nice little draw engine. That's fine. Relic Golem, 3-mana 6/6. Can't attack or block unless there's 8 cards in the opponent's graveyard. Not super spectacular, so probably wouldn't play that. But some of these I'd have. I want to be able to board into. I think you can definitely consider boarding into other decks. It's totally fun to build 2 decks. Like we could build a white-green deck and a red-blue deck from our pool if we wanted to. Maybe build it around Kaza Royal Chaser. That'd be sweet. Be a red-black deck. I don't know. It would be cool to build a deck in that fashion and then switch in between games. Like if you think this deck has a bad matchup, you can switch to the other deck. Totally plan, but I want to keep this video a little shorter, just give people an idea of what we're looking at. We're looking at what's our best color based on bombs and what can we pair that with? And, you know, are there any synergies available? There's not really synergies in Sealed. Sealed, sometimes you get synergistic decks, but it doesn't come together very often. Instead, you just kind of want to be looking for what's my best color, what is it looking for? And you saw us do that with white. Our best color is white, we got a nice curve to it, it's got a really powerful bomb, it's got some flip lands, which are great. It wants landfall, which green pairs very well with. We have a couple landfall enablers, which are great, some more good green cards for that. And green had 2 of our best removal spells. So white was missing removal spells, it wanted to be go Y with landfall. Green had some more landfall mechanics and some good removal spells, and even another good bomb in there in Kazandu Mammoth. So really happy with how this deck turned out. Really happy with the building process. Remember, if you guys like this video and like the content we're making, feel free to leave a comment, ask questions about how, you know, how I built it. Want pictures of your decks. Tell me, you know, how you saw this thing and it helped you influence the deck you built. Happy to talk about that with you too in the comments. But with that, we'll talk to everybody next time.